I move different, ride smooth, time to merge lanes. Many come and go, this life in this rap game. I move different, ride smooth, time to merge lanes. I just wanna get paid, you can have fame. I move different, ride smooth, time to merge lanes. Many come and go, this life in this rap game.
What's up? Back with another episode of the Major Music Lounge podcast. It's your host, D. Dot. And today, we're actually going to recap, and I just have some thoughts. I went to the Beatstars Creator Day here in Dallas, and it was actually pretty cool. It was my second time going to a Beatstars event. I had actually went, it was more than a couple of years ago, I went to a Beatstars event at the same place at the MediaTech Institute here in Dallas, Texas, of course. And you know, it's a great place to also network with other creatives. I mean, there were people from other cities, you know, Houston, Austin. Then there were people from other states. I actually met 3 people from St. Louis that drove all the way down here to come to this event. And then, of course, there were some people from like Oklahoma City as well that I came across. So, you know, one of the things that I would definitely recommend is if they are coming to your city for Creators Day, definitely check it out. There were some great topics on like music publishing, uploading your beats to Beatstars, you know, like even down to the artwork that you have with each beat that you upload. And then it was also just talking about like knowing your value. One of the things that like producers kind of struggle with, and even I've gotten questions about this from up and coming producers, was how do you price your beats? So I actually have some clips. I obviously can't show the entire event. It was like, I think, a 5 or 6 hour event, but I took some sounds as well as I got a couple of clips that I'm going to give some thoughts on from the Beatstars Creators Day. Real quick, if this is your first time tuning into the Major Music Lounge podcast, I like to talk about, you know, topics like this, any music production related topics. And then sometimes I may interview other guests just about, you know, maybe projects that they've released recently. It could also be in regards to some of the topics that we're talking about today, selling beats online, music publishing. They could also be content creators. If you're looking to get on the podcast, you could actually find me on any of my socials at d._major music. That's going to be Instagram, TikTok, and Threads. There's a slight difference on like Twitter or X, and that's going to be d.mme. All right, so we're about to get into some of the audio, and from this part of the Beatstars Creators Day, this was actually about what is music publishing and why you need it. And it was featuring Woot Johnson of Beatstars and Corey McAfee. Corey McAfee is actually going to go over his experience reaching out to music supervisors via LinkedIn, getting their email addresses, and hitting them up directly to, you know, build relationships, do things like see what types of beats they're looking for example, film and television projects that he could submit to. You know, another good example of that is you wouldn't want to send like a pop beat for a placement that is seeking trap beats for, you know, that wouldn't work, obviously. Now, I haven't personally gotten my placements that way. I did also, though, you know, a side note, and we've had a guest on this show. You might know him as The Fingers, who he's a producer, but he does a lot of content about sync licensing and music publishing. But he mentioned that that's how he got some of his placements, was reaching out directly to these music supervisors through LinkedIn. So I have 2 placements. One of them for a video game titled Hustle Kings, and then I have another placement. It was for a gaming festival that this company was promoting via YouTube, and I actually have royalties being generated by them using my instrumentals from YouTube, and that was like actually a couple years ago. But both of those placements I actually got through a website called Music X-Ray. Now, Music X-Ray kind of works similarly to what they were describing, the only kicker with Music X-Ray is for some of those opportunities, there are like you have to pay a fee, a submission fee in order to submit music. But that's how I kind of got my 2 placements, and just once you submit the fee, then you kind of get a direct line to whoever the music supervisor is or whoever's in charge of accepting music on behalf of that gaming company, or it could be like a movie company, or maybe just a large corporation that might need your music for some of their commercials or ads or things like that. I know like a lot of people that have placements through ESPN and a lot of these major television networks. So in this clip, you're going to hear Corey McAfee talk about how he has networked with music supervisors via LinkedIn, and that has gotten him some opportunities as well.
They should be reaching out to you directly to negotiate a deal. A lot of these things should be non-exclusive as well, right? So you still own this beat or the song. They're just borrowing it for that show, essentially. But yeah, they should be reaching out to you directors. And listen, Sync's tough at the end of the day, because I know you guys hear about it all the time, and we were having some convos about Sync. But it's because there's a lot of people that want to do that, right? And it's a very limited amount of music supervisors, and sometimes they're not as educated on what's really going on right now. They just want to see Drake, but they can't afford that, so they're going to go to the next whatever fits their budget. So. But yeah, that thing should be happening there. I mean, on BeatStars, it's happening on platform as well. A lot of brands are just, searching for tracks. Again, there's a lot of content that's being made by brands every single day, and they need tracks. And they need tracks that are a little bit affordable, because like a social media sync sometimes is only $500, whereas, then a TV show, depending on what it is, could range from $1,000 to $10,000, and video games $5,000 to $10,000. Again, it's all different budgets and things like that, but, it's a world that is very network. You got to kind of get into it. For myself, it was a lot of blind emails, blind calls to try to figure out, try to create a relationship with someone. Kind of what Mike was saying, provide value. What value you're providing? Beats within tracks that you can sync within your budget is a great value add.
So what you're saying is, from a strategic perspective, if I'm trying to build a relationship with a music supervisor, right, at a TV show or a station, whatever, you're saying that a cold email to them saying, hey, I have music that could, tell me, walk me through, because I think there's some people who may want to do that, right?
Yeah. You find the TV show, you search creative director or music supervisor, let's say it's, whatever show, right? Google that, try to find the name, go on LinkedIn, get the email, it's a whole thing, right? Go on IG, and then, you want to not bother them, but within reason, and you're pitching yourself, right? So, but again, you should approach them with, what is this show? You're not going to pitch, some trap music to Euphoria if that's not what they're doing, so get it. And another thing supervisors like is quick clear, meaning, can you clear the master and that publishing that day? Right, because a lot of these things move super fast, and if you can't, on to the next one.
Clear the master, clear the publishing, meaning.
So if it's an instrumental, you already own this master, right? Unless there's a sample in it, or there's collaborators at the end of the day. But let's say you own that master, it's your instrumental. You also own the publishing if you did everything yourself. So that's what that means.
So once again, that last audio clip was from What is Music Publishing and Why You Need It. And that is something that I'm definitely going to apply to what I do, because I'm looking to get more placements. A lot of artists, a lot of music creators, generally speaking, producers included, they, I think, lose track at times of the residual income that you can get from music publishing. And, we far too much just think about selling beats. Yeah, you collect royalties from but also, the opportunity that you can also get royalties, because there's 2 types of royalties. All right, so right now I'm actually on the Royalty Exchange website, and I got up here performance royalties. Now, performance royalties are going to be the fees that music users pay when music is performed publicly, music played over the radio in a restaurant or bar, over a service like Spotify or Pandora is considered a public performance. Now, I also have up here the mechanical royalties. And what they have here is mechanical royalties are paid to songwriters and artists when music is sold, think CD or vinyl, but also when music is streaming mechanicals on demand like Spotify. So you're going to get those mechanical royalties there. But you have a big opportunity for performance royalties, and I think that's the part of collecting royalties that a lot of people might be unaware of or they're missing out on. So let's go ahead and get into our next section, and this is actually going to be with Micheal Trampe talking about free downloads as well as creating different tiers for artists that have, different budgets. For example, one of the things that I do personally when it comes to creating those different tiers is I actually have like a $9.99 option now that is a tagged beat throughout, and I actually had intentions on that being an option for artists to, if you want to try out the instrumental, see if you can write something to it. And, later down the line, if you want to come back and purchase the untagged version of the lease or even the full exclusive, you can do so. But I have had some artists that have released projects with those beats. And, Micheal Trampe makes a good example of providing for different artists that have, different types of budgets for their albums, projects, whatever it is that they're releasing. So let's go ahead. This is actually going to be a video clip this time around. We're going to get to which Micheal Trampe is talking about creating different tiers. Now, for a little bit of context also before we get into this clip, Micheal Trampe also works for Beatstars. So let's go ahead and get into this clip.
So, but there's also one thing that I want to talk about too, like the free download option, right? Like you can have that, and I think there's something to be said about, okay, what the exchange is of selling something for a price, right? You're getting money, and they're getting the beat. For a free download, it may not be as obvious. It's like, okay, I'm giving up this, like I'm just giving up a free beat. Like what does that really do for me? Mike, I'll kick that over to you. I mean, like, what is that exchange? What should the real exchange be for a free download?
Yeah, free download. I mean, listen, you could just give the free download, but I wouldn't recommend that. I would get an email in exchange just so you can build out an email list and also a contact list. Because these free downloads are not for profit, man. But let's all be fair here. I'm sure there are people who are not following those guidelines. But what if that free download turns into the next Old Town Road? Okay? So again, we're going back to what I said earlier. We're playing the opportunity game. And this also factors into the pricing, right? So we've case studied this, man. I don't know if we have that slide up over there yet, but we've case studied this, man. And we looked at the top 100 beats on the top charts in 2022, and we found out the average price of the cheapest lease that people had available was about $29.14, something like that. So we did it again, like literally 3 weeks ago I did it again, went through it. It actually went up. It's about $30 and some change. So it's all around this $30 mark for people's cheapest license, but there are some people with 50, some people with 5, some people with 10. It just all depends. But me, I'm thinking about the person halfway around the world who doesn't have $30. I'm thinking about the person who might have 5 or 10. And if there's a way I can create a lease for them that is maybe very limited in how many streams they can get and whatnot, I could do that. And then obviously if anything happens, you can then renegotiate and do a new agreement. So again, the point, in my opinion, to lease beats, non-exclusively, let me be very clear here, non-exclusively I'm talking about right now. There's huge differences between non-exclusive and exclusive. So if I'm leasing beats non-exclusively, why would I want to cut off a purchasing customer base? So free downloads, maybe a cheaper MP3 license, whatever it is. But I'm telling you this right now, based on what I've seen over the years, $30, if your cheapest lease is more than $30 and you're not a solidified brand and have a customer base that you can charge what you want, it's gonna be very difficult to scale. I'm not saying it's impossible, I'm just saying it's gonna be more difficult. So keep that into consideration. And then there's one more point I wanted to make because I said non-exclusive, exclusive. Exclusive licensing. You can, at the end of the day, you guys can make your prices whatever they want. For any of these licenses, your terms, you're responsible for that. We give you the templates, you can then customize them. But when it comes to exclusive, I'm not telling anybody in here what to do, I'm just giving you my best suggestion. Make an offer only, set a minimum price. Because once you put that exclusive price front and center, everybody sees it. How are you gonna come back when someone's like, hey, I saw you're selling $100 exclusives. Nah, I changed my mind, they're $2,000 now. Nah, I'm not buying it. So you set yourself up to win, to negotiate, to build.
Now, to provide a little bit more context for you, the title of this part of Beatstars Creator Day Dallas was titled Cracking the Code, Becoming a Full-Time Producer, and it features Who on the Track and MegaTrong and Micheal Trampe. Now, Who on the Track and MegaTrong are actually both from Dallas, I believe, but they are high performers on Beatstars, and they just kind of shared some of their experiences as far as, you know, everything down to the artwork. And, you know, Micheal Trampe actually talks about even creating different tiers for artists with different budgets on Beatstars. Now, that is something that I actually do personally. Like, for example, I have a $29 option, which is kind of my Wave high quality audio file option. I do have that MP3 option for $9.99. Now, that is a tagged beat. And when I decided to do a $9.99 tier, what I was more so thinking about was a artist maybe that wanted to purchase to see, you know, if they had something they can record to that beat, and maybe at a later time they want to come back around and purchase that high quality audio file, that wave file, or maybe even that exclusive with the stems. But I have had some artists purchase that option and put that on a commercial project that they've released. Now, I'm always, again, kind of like I said earlier, if you hit me up about getting an exclusive, then, you know, I'll kind of factor that in from the lease, you know, and we can kind of talk about and negotiate the exclusive pricing. But I create 3 different tiers for artists that want to work with me. And, you know, if, you know, a side note, if an artist doesn't want to spend $10 on a instrumental for, you know, a project that they want to profit off of themselves, you know, I don't know what else to tell you, because I know a lot of producers that have beats at a reasonable price that artists don't take advantage of, and instead they be in people's DMs or comments talking about let's work. And, you know, we create different options that are affordable because we want to work with more people. And there was a part where it's more an extended version. Obviously, I can't play it all, but Micheal Trampe talked about, you never know, you're selling a cheaper lease, or you might be giving this beat away for free, but you don't know if this could become the next Old Town Road. So, you know, that's another reason I believe in having different tiers, because some artists are very talented but just never been given the opportunity. So let's go ahead. This clip is going to start off about, this is actually Who on the Track talking about using hashtags. For example, you know, if you got a type beat, whatever that type beat sounds like, or the artist that is associated with, hashtagging that on Instagram or YouTube, and then it's going to be Micheal Trampe talking about providing different tiers. So let's go ahead and get into that next clip.
We need some of your beats for sure. So that, and also hashtags. Hashtags, when you put in like the tags, when you upload your beats, make sure, you know, they can be whatever type beat it is. Because like it can be, you can say, for instance, you can put Larry June type beat. When you put the Larry June type beat in, and you know, and most of the artists are going to be searching it up, you'll most likely your beat will pop up for sure, and you know, they'll buy it.
Can I add one more thing? So think about this. I want everybody to think about this. Maybe not right now, but maybe when you leave here. What is your value? At the end of the day, think about what you gravitate towards. Where do you go to eat? What music do you listen to? What movies do you like? There's value in what is being provided. So if you're not offering value, it's going to be very hard to build an audience. So what is that value point? And again, it's not something you have to master as you're getting started. Because I honestly, in my career, I know we're not talking beat selling, I didn't know what my value was. But I had to find it. And then once I found that value, I branded myself around it and then stayed consistent. Okay? So ask yourself that. If I'm a consumer on the other side and I hear your beats, I see your artwork, I see your titles, what is going to make me, you, whoever, to go in and want to buy that, right? And there's ways of drawing people in before they even press play. So.
Now, still part of the same panel, now they talk about deciding when is a beat ready to be uploaded, or, you know, that could also be speaking about, if you're an artist, when to upload the song to streaming platforms. And for new music creators, whether you're a music producer, whether you're an artist, that could be a difficult thing to decide, because, you know, I used to have a friend, for example, that he was a perfectionist. And, you know, I get that sometimes, that if it ain't right, it just ain't right. But at the same time, you might be spending a month or, you know, longer trying to fix a song that, you know, you probably can't get any better than it is. And me, I'm a big proponent of, when I record, I want to make sure, you know, there's a certain vibe that I feel when I'm recording, and I feel like the energy is right on the track, the delivery might be right on the track, the mix, then, you know, I get satisfied with the mix. There are times, though, I will say I've re-recorded things because I felt like I could have said something in that verse a little bit better. And then same thing like with a beat, being a producer, there may be a certain part of like a beat, it could be the melody, you know, something that the timing is just off on the melody, or, you know, it could be the drums or something, or it could be just the sounds that I'm using in the beat. And I may go through like different presets or do some tweaking with the mixing, whatever the case may be, and I figure out that I'm satisfied with it at that point. But I don't make it a thing to, you know, wait too long to upload something to Beatstars, or, you know, in my being an artist, I also, you know, don't wait too long to upload to streaming platforms after I'm done completing a single, or EP, or album, whatever the case may be, because I feel like sometimes if you try to overdo it, you might lose that same energy that you might have intended to have when you initially recorded that verse. So this next audio is going to talk a little bit about uploading to Beatstars or streaming platforms, and then we're going to come back here and we got another clip that we're going to get into.
But I would love to know, just from your perspective, how can you gauge that, and how should you gauge that?
Yeah, listen, it's I think it's a different answer for everybody. I think everybody's gonna find that in their own journey. But what I like to recommend is get with people that maybe aren't music people. Get with people that are casual listeners, that aren't listening for that certain drum pattern or whatever. Just they want to enjoy music in general, right? They want to digest that music and be a fan of it. I always go to people that are not in the music industry actually to listen to stuff from me. because I want to hear how they feel about it. Now, that's just one thing that you can do. Obviously, as you're making music, you're always getting better, right? You're always developing. So this is an ongoing thing. So if you want to take another approach and put stuff out on BeatStars or wherever it is, and then see how the public kind of gravitates to it, you can easily get feedback and good, good feedback and good idea of where you're at. But at some point, you have to pull the trigger, right? And I think sometimes, including myself, you get in your head a little too much, right? And then you don't want to pull that trigger. So sometimes it is about just releasing that stuff, getting that feedback, and then getting better from it.
So, Mike, one thing that I want to also bounce off of you as well, right? So feedback is obviously a huge part, but then also understanding the different file types, right? Like all of these other things of adding to, your development as a producer. I mean, could you kind of dive into, in addition to feedback, maybe some other things to help you understand, okay, am I actually ready to start selling my music too?
Yeah, so listen, we make it really, really easy at BeatStars when it comes to file types. You need two things, really, when it comes to files: stems and a WAV file. So our system automatically converts to MP3. So you don't need to bounce MP3 files and do all these other things. Now, another really dope thing is, once you upload this stuff, and you're like, hey, I want to go put it on my YouTube, or I want to go put it on social media, we give you an auto-tagged file already. So you don't have to go back to your DAW, wherever you are, to do all that. We provide all of that for you. So if I'm getting ready to upload a catalog, I'm getting ready to dive in, stems is a big recommendation. I have a lot of producers, not a lot, but producers who come to me and say, I don't want to sell stems, people are going to steal it, this, that, and the other. Listen, when it comes to beat leasing and selling, you want to have as many options as possible. This is an opportunity game we're playing here, and I think a lot of people don't look at it from that perspective, right? So stems, tracked out, labeled, WAV, upload, artwork. So I guess you could say artwork is another file, right? But we have a Canva integration. So say you suck at making art like me, right? You go right into Canva and you get that template or whatever you need and you can make something. So we're gonna get into the artwork and the titles and all these things that are, in my opinion, very important because they're all part of your branding at the end of the day. But file-wise, that's what you guys need really to get ready to dive in. Now, just say, it's like, listen, I heard Mike, I hear what he's saying, but I don't agree. I only want to upload my waves. Okay, cool. If that's where you want to start, then you can do that. But just realize when you're going into an actual business, like a point of sale, if somebody wants to buy something that has better file formats, better quality, because they want to mix it a certain way, they're not going to be able to do that. So you're cutting off potential buyers. And again, this is an opportunity game. The more opportunities you can provide to people, man, the better. So that's my best advice.
Now, still with the same panel, it starts off with MegaTrong, who's going to talk about artwork and how artwork is important to uploading to BeatStars, or you could even say like Instagram and YouTube, for example. And that's something that I would say probably over the last maybe 2 years or so, I Google artwork, whatever the title of my beat is, and sometimes I get lucky and I find something that I like that's associated with the beat, or I may look if it's a type beat that I make and Google that artist. You heard actually who on the track reference, like if it's a Larry June type beat, uploading a picture, for example, of Larry June. But sometimes I may also have a just boom bap or old school hip hop beat that I don't quite have anybody in mind. So I may go ahead and, I think about like the 90s and I think about hip hop. I think about cassette tapes, boom boxes, things that kind of symbolize that old school hip hop. Maybe even like the East Coast, New York, for example. There may be some pictures of like the hip hop culture in New York around the mid to late 90s that I find. You can go down my YouTube or on my Instagram or even my BeatStars and see, because I have the same videos in every place, but how I upload my beats. And again, this year, I guess it's starting to kind of pay off because I've sold more beats this year than I've sold previous years, and I just want to continue to build on that. Now, the second part of this clip is going to actually feature Who on the track, and he is talking about you got to know your worth, and that is something I think that producers, whenever you're new to making beats or selling beats online, they may struggle with as well, because I see some producers, like there was this guy who, well, he wasn't a producer in this case, but he hit me up through a mutual friend about some beats, and I'm not going to say my price for exclusives. You can go to my Beatstars if you want to see that, but he told me that he purchases exclusives for $100, and that's like, I would never personally let an exclusive go for $100. I mean, that's really underselling yourself. What if, you get a major artist with a bigger budget that hit you up, and are you going to sell that exclusive also for $100? No, you're probably going to get what you can because somebody with a bigger budget is hitting you up for instrumentals. So, like, there are some artists that I've seen in the past that have wanted to release music, but they want to pay, in that case, $100 for an exclusive. And to the producers that are doing that, now some producers are doing that, trying to make a quick buck, and they're devaluing the price of beats and just the work that we put and the investment that we make behind just being a beat maker and producer. Because I mean, the software that in most cases you use to make the beat is $100 or more in a lot of cases. And I think that as a music producer, that you got to have some return on your investment. A lot of us, we're not making beats as a hobby. This is something that, is additional income for us. Some of us, it's our primary source of income, that we sell beats. So I think devaluing the craft, you're hurting yourself more long term than helping yourself. Now, who knows? You could come across and maybe that song that you sold that exclusive for blows up. But I think as a music creator, you shouldn't sell exclusives for $100. The going price definitely should be more, and it creates value in the product that you have. Like, I don't have the whole clip, or maybe it's on here, but there was one part of the Creators Day Dallas that Micheal Trampe was talking about providing value, and I think that kind of all ties into knowing your worth as a producer. Provide options that have different budgets, but also, if you feel that your instrumental's worth $500 or whatever, stand your ground. Or, I will also say, not necessarily stand your ground, but be open to negotiating. Now, you don't want to give away house and home, and you don't necessarily want to not make the sale. At least I would want to try to see how we can, make this deal happen between the two of us. Maybe I wouldn't go $100, and I'm not even saying my exclusives are $500, but, what if, for example, if you, and I'm using $500 as a base, but what if you say, okay, well, maybe for $350 or $300, I'll somewhat kind of meet you halfway on purchasing this beat for exclusive. But then, it could be a major artist again, and, you might, and that's where you got to kind of also be careful, because you don't want to change it based off of that person. I know some people that don't even mention their exclusive pricing. They might just take it on a case-by-case basis based off of that budget. So everybody's going to be different, but you got to know your worth when selling your beats as a producer. let's go ahead and get into this next clip that features Who on the Track and MegaTrong, still the cracking the code, becoming a full-time creator part. So let's get into it.
What is the thing that I can do to build an audience day one, right? In MegaTrong, I'll start with you, and then Who will go with you. For you, were there any secrets to the trade, or were there anything that you did when you were like, okay, as I'm starting to develop, there's this third pillar of, but who am I, right? Like, what does my brand say in this lane? And MegaTrong, we have your profile up, and we've kind of talked about this a little bit, right? Just if you look at your consistency through Instagram and even just through the Beatstars profile, you're doing something really right. Can you tell us what that is from a branding perspective?
Failure, honestly. I've tried many different things. When I started, like I said, when I started Beatstars, I was just doing like the cartoony pictures, and then as I kept going, I just developed like this cinematic like photo for all my posts, and it just gravitates towards like artists.
Mike, what else have you seen work really, really well from a marketing and brand? I mean, if you take a look at MegaTron's, like, there's something that he's doing really well, right? I mean, look at this, like all the cover art, it looks great. Like his videos, for 30, right? It all kind of depends, and it all kind of jumps. I would love to kind of start with you. What was your approach to pricing your products really on the platform?
Usually, basically asking my producer friends, cause usually I'd be like, okay. Remember back then, I used to sell my lease. I used to sell my lease for I think about $20. For even with the exclusives, I would sell it to like $300. Then I had a talk with one of my homies, and he was like, you gotta know your worth for sure. So he told me his price. And he told me, yeah, he said I sold exclusives for like $1,500. I said $1,500. $1,500. I said, okay, cool. Just go back and because he was telling me, he was like, man, your beats are dope. Why are you selling them so cheap? If you know that your beats are up there, sell them. Know your worth, and for sure, sell them to your knowledge for sure. Because there's going to be some buyers. There's going to be some buyers that's going to try to bargain with you, and sometimes you just got to be like, oh, should I sell it to them, or should I go to another person, because I know they're gonna pay for they're gonna know my worth for sure too. So that's what I usually do.
That is pretty much going to be it as far as the audio and some of the clips that I wanted to show in this episode of the Major Music Lounge podcast. What I also will say about the Beatstars Creators Day, now I do believe that they are going to have this event on their YouTube channel. So if you want to watch it in its entirety, be on the lookout on when Beatstars is going to have that on their YouTube. And again, if they are coming to your city or a city close by, I definitely recommend checking out the Beatstars Creators Day. I mean, we've had people, as I said at the beginning of the video, from St. Louis, Missouri, drive all the way to Dallas, Texas, and then even people from Houston, Austin, Oklahoma that made the drive to come to Beatstars Creators Day. And it's a great place to learn more about music publishing, uploading beats down to like the artwork associated with your beats, pricing your beats, releasing your music. It wasn't just for our music producers. You had artists attend as well, because there are artists that are a part of Beatstars that buy beats on Beatstars and all these other platforms as well. So you don't again have to be just a music producer to attend one of these. So be on the lookout for them. I think they pretty much hit all the major cities. This is their second time doing it in Dallas. And I want to shout out Abe Bastion as well, the founder of Beatstars. Got a chance to just say what's up to him, and I really appreciate him throwing these events. And it's been quite some time I was just thinking, you know, over the past couple of months, in fact, that they haven't had any music producer related events or music creator related events. I know like iStandard used to come when that was kind of a thing years ago, and I think they're not doing that anymore. So it was really great to have Beatstars come through Dallas and the MediaTech Institute, and it's always a great place to network with other creative minds and, you know, see what you can learn and maybe what other, like, you know, collaborations may become of going to some of these events and networking with other music creators. So that's all I got for this episode. If you enjoyed this episode of the Major Music Lounge podcast, please go ahead, hit the subscribe button. I usually upload new episodes of the Major Music Lounge podcast on Fridays. Sometimes I do these midweek Wednesday episodes. They're usually solo episodes, kind of like this, where there's a certain topic I might discuss on the podcast. So stay tuned for those as well. You can follow me on Instagram, TikTok, and Threads at d._major music. You can also follow me on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, at d.mme. If you like this video and hung around this long, please go ahead, hit the subscribe button. I like to upload new episodes here on YouTube as well as all podcast streaming platforms. This has been another episode of the Major Music Lounge podcast. Your host, D. Dot, and until next time, I'm out.
Major Music.